Okay. Does that look straight?
That looks straight. Nice.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, that looks great. Good job, us.
Isn't she beautiful?
Hey, look at that.
She's moved. What's going on? What's she doing out there?
Well, we got her some new tires, and then we planted her in the middle of my sister and brother-in-law's yard. And then it rained, so we didn't want to move her.
Because she's already been stuck once.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
Let's go look at the tires. We drove back from the tire place about, oh gosh, how early in the morning? 5:36?
Yeah.
And there was no sun at that time. It was really dark. Basically, I came in the gate, and having to put her back where she was before meant having to negotiate all of these trees. I came in and just parked here, and we'll move her in a couple of days. And then it rained. And it rained. For about 3 or 4 days. We were at home because I was having an issue with my teeth. I had to get a root canal last week. But anyway, I came out the other day thinking, oh, it's hard enough. It hadn't rained in a day or two. This would be great. Not so much. I got about 2 feet and she got stuck again. But we'll get her out. No problem. But we got new tires. New tires. I'm very pleased with that. And a little bit of bling. That shop where we went is about, 20 minutes up the road, 25 minutes up the road. And it's a highway, so it's, 65 miles an hour. But I wanted to show you this. I got it hooked up by the handle down to here, and I got them tied up together with another one in between, and then another one at the other side does this. These things didn't move. I was very pleased. Water tanks are doing pretty good too. Like a bit of a shakedown. Nothing moved. I think the toolbox that we've got in there moved a little bit, but it's only because it's still on wheels, and I'm going to be fixing that sometime soon. But yeah, it worked really well. All right, back to work. I managed to run all of the cables down through the holes into the utility bay, and it looks pretty sharp up here. Let me show you what it looks like down there.
Good job, babe.
Thank you. I was doing the electrical. You've already seen me run the wires, and I'm setting up the distribution box. As I've said before, we have 2 AC 300s, each having 2 B300 batteries from Bluetti. Not sponsored, by the way. These are all out of pocket. And there's nothing we require 240 volts for, so I've decided it's better just to leave them separate. So each one will have its own distribution box, and let me show you that. There's the DC fuse block. Each one will have one of these as well. This is a small, generally a sub panel, and it has 4 spaces for 4 slim circuit breakers. Took a RB extension cord, comes out of the 30 amp outlet here, goes around and enters the distribution box here, and I've cut it to separate the wires, and I have wired those up just as if it was feeding a regular circuit breaker box. So we've got the black wire coming into the main bus bar that goes at the top of the circuit breaker. I had to use a jumper to get to this one because it's not actually a bus bar. White into the main neutral bar, and then green goes into a ground bus bar. I see you writing comments right there. Yes, this is a Wago 221. They're generally not recommended for use as a ground bus bar in a circuit breaker box. And I know I'm going to get some comments about that, but let me tell you, this little box had the holes, they're made for a very specific ground bus bar. I couldn't find it anywhere. Not sure why. Rather than try and find one that fit, I decided to go with my favorite Wago 221s. These ones are actually 221615. The 600 series handles everything down to a 10 gauge wire, which is what these are. The 400 series handles everything up to a 12 gauge, and 5, that just refers to how many conductors it can use. And because there are 4 circuits here plus the one coming out of here, this is not live, by the way, then this will be perfect. It's perfect for that, but you might be wondering if it's a good idea inside a circuit breaker box that distributes the power throughout the entire bus. Well, it's actually right on the side of the thing. These are rated for 32 amps at 600 volts, I believe, and it will never, ever get that much current. Let me tell you why. 120 volts coming out of the inverter here. They advertise it as a 30 amp max, but the math clearly states the Bluetti AC300 cannot put out 30 amps. The inverter that's built into this can only do a maximum of 25 amps. It's well within the specs. All right, so that's what I did over here. I don't have the circuit breakers in. These are the AC cables here. I don't have those stripped and ready to go. I'm just installing these with the cables ready to be wired to the upstairs. And enter to the other one now. Now it's a shame because this is a nice little cord. It's 10 feet long. I got it on Amazon. It comes with this really nice little carrying handle thing. I hate to waste this. So this I'm going to keep. And even this female TT30, I have an idea to create a cable using these so that I can plug one AC300 into both of the circuit breaker distribution panels. If one of them happens to fail or it needs to go in for service or what have you, I want the other one to be able to pick up the load. So I'm going to keep these and I'm going to use those for that. What do you think, baby?
I'm very excited.
I'm going to turn the AC off right now because this is live. But I just want to measure the length here, and I don't want to do it when it's plugged in and live. We got this. This is going to come up here, and then we're going to go around. This is how much I want. It's always a little bit extra. I always mark a little bit more so that I have enough to play with because I've learned my lesson. The first time I did this, I felt a little bit nauseous because it's not terribly expensive, but it's perfectly good cord, and I'm just cutting it. There we go. Save that. When I finally got it finished wired up on the driver's side, I did turn on the AC power coming from the AC300. I stepped back and I did it from my phone and it worked fine. And then I used my multimeter, 120 volts. Perfect. This might be a little bit too long. I don't know if I can. I don't want to have too much of this, so I'm going to go run it through, tighten up on the strain relief. I'm going to have to trim these. So let's go do that. Use these actually. Put you there to see me okay. Right. And that looks pretty good. Let's tighten this up. So the green can be relatively short. It's only coming up to about here. The white is coming up to We're gonna put that right there. So there. Black is going all the way up to here. So let me put these. All right. Let's do the white. I'm gonna need a jumper. That's too small. All right, now I needed a jumper from this connector over to this connector. So they go into one like this, and then this one comes out and goes into the second one. The problem is I didn't have any more black 10 gauge, so I had to use red 10 gauge. See if I can get this done in here. One of the things I want to do is wire lights in here so I can see what the heck I'm doing. It's easier when it was on the other wall. Normally this would be a sub panel, and you would have two hots. I don't have that. I had to sort of short out this little connector here, and that should be good. Now let's get my little Wago to 221615 and finish this installation. You'll never be able to see this. It says AWG 20 to 10. It's American wire gauge if you weren't aware. 450 volts, 41 amps. Let's put the green in, the ground in. There. This is going to be tucked in here. Now that should be good to test. Now, just so you know, I'm turning the AC off from here when I plug that in or unplug it. I have to have it on for upstairs because it powers the lights. But safety first, folks. I'm going to double check those connections, tighten them off a little bit, and then I probably will start connecting the white cables that are coming out of the bus. I've got a bunch of circuit breakers that I got, 20 amps, and that's going to be good enough for pretty much everything. Everything's going to be 20 amps. I know that all of our general use outlets should probably be 15 amps. I don't know, is that a good idea or a bad idea? They're all 15 amp outlets, and you can wire up a 15 amp outlet to a 20 amp circuit. It's not going to melt or anything. We'll see. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I doing it right? Probably not, but let me know why. I didn't show you this because, quite frankly, I just wanted to get it done. But we have this panel on the driver's side hooked up, and it is actually plugged in and working. We've got this wired up, the 4 circuit breakers. The other side's only going to have 3, but this is you see this one? See this one? Turned on. I'm going to show you something really cool. Now, this is just a test. I do not recommend doing this, but we used to have to run an extension cord from the inside over to this AC300 and plug it in to get lights inside. Well, no extension cord now. There's the extension cord. There it is. What's going on here? But I wired this up just to test it. This is where our lights are plugged in.
That's so cool, man.
I know. So I don't suggest doing that. It was just for a test. Normally that box should be in a wall and properly mounted. But yeah, I'm very pleased.
I'm very pleased. We're making progress.
Bus had been parked over there a little bit more, over in the yard when we brought her in from getting new tires. You might be able to see a little bit of a ripped up turf there. That was us trying to move her this morning. I thought, well, the ground looks hard enough now. Let's give it a shot. And I was planning on bringing her all the way back around to where she had been before. But no, that wasn't going to happen. So what I did was I just managed to get her moving and used momentum to carry us back roughly to where our work area was. And you know what? This works out really well because this puts us in a spot where when we move aboard, this is our front yard. We've got lots of room. Our work area is over there. We're going to clean that up a little bit more. And we have space here for, I don't know, savoring nature. We're still not done the insulation, but I want to try putting in at least one panel for the wall as an experiment. And it's going to be in the back, and there's going to be some fancy cutting done because it's got a little bit of stuff to go around. But ultimately, my goal here is to put up one panel so that I can practice figuring out where the wires are going to be so I know where I'm going to cut the holes for the boxes. Now, the boxes we have, they're what's called old work boxes. For example, if you have a house existing and you want to put a new receptacle over here, you can't basically attach a new box to a stud. You have to actually attach it to the drywall. In this case, we're using plywood, and that's called an old work box, and it attaches with a flange on the outside of the existing wall. And that's what we've got. I decided to do it that way just because I didn't want to have to be limited to where our furring strips were. So we have 1/4 inch plywood that is sanded and finished on both sides. We're going to use this side and put this side out just so we have the cross hatches here to guide us for screwing into the furring strips. It just makes sense to me. The bottom of this has to be cut out in a way because we've got a bit of the 3 chairs at the back of a bus. Everybody loves them. You can lay down on them if nobody else is there. Where those had been when Maggie was a charter bus, we still have the shelf they sat on, and we have to go around that with our panel, so we've got to figure out how to do that. I did some measurements, and we're going to see if I can get that done. So here's my measurements. You see this is how it's got to go to, it's got to do. I've also had to cut the top off, so it's only going to be about 77 inches high. I'm no what's 77 inches in feet? She's good at this. 6 feet 5 inches. Thank you. She's really good at that. She denies it, but she's not that bad at math. So I got to cut some off the top. We've got 4 pieces here, and when it comes down to doing the cutting off the top, I'm going to do all 4 at once. But right now, I've got to try and suss out how to do this fancy cut. So 22.5 inches this way. Can't see anything without my glasses. From here to, okay, that's gonna be fine. Okay, let's do 77 inches just to get, and do 46.25. Straight down there. 18.25 inches there. Let's go from there. Okay, it's 18.5, and then 22.5. And goes here to here, and this. Somewhere over here. One I can bring inside track. Let's give it a shot.
That's really good. That's so good.
Look at that. Let me move this out of the way over here. So these are the old work boxes I bought. Again, they call them old work because they're made to go in existing walls. So walls that have been around for a while, so old walls. And you can't attach this to a stud, so you've got to actually attach it to the whatever is on your outside wall. In this case, it's going to be plywood. So let's say the center, yeah, 32 sounds good to me. So let's say 32. Nice round number, I like it. So I'm going to tuck this as best I can back here. And I know that there's nothing next to them. So if I put the box here, I know that when I reach in to grab these cables, I can also grab the DC cables for the USB outlet. What do you think?
Wow, honey, that looks so good.
It's a shame now we've got to actually put holes in it. Cutting that little, those angles out to clear that space, that was the hardest part of the entire wall project, putting the wall on. Yeah. That little angle. Everything else just goes right at the floor and up to the top here, and that's whatever that measurement is. It's going to be the same all the way down the bus. We have a set of these countersinks. We bought them at Harbor Freight a while ago. I'll be gosh darned if I can find them. So we bought some new ones. The good thing about Harbor Freight is they're inexpensive, good tools. They will do the job. Safety first, kids. There, that's good. Looks good. And there she is. We got a wall, an inside wall attached to the bus. And onward we go.
Nice.
All right, we were talking about 50 inches by 32, so let's go 50 here. 32 up. That looks straight to you?
Yes.
And that's our box.
Cool. And you can just use the
Multi-tool.
tool.
Get this out here. Yeah. Excellent. So that goes over there. This is coming through the box, which I could probably even put it through the box now. This is so much extra. That's pretty good. I'm gonna, the box fits, so they got the wires out through the box. We gotta go back and take care of some dogs. So I'm gonna continue this next time. I'll see you then. I moved it from over there and brought it over here, and it was all wet ground. So what I didn't have time to pick and choose my spots. I got her rolling, used momentum, pulled up as close as I could to her old work spot, and stopped. I didn't pick the best spot. Let me show you this. It is noticeable coming in, but as a lot of people who have gone before us say, there is nothing square on a bus. Today, I'm going to finish wiring up the electrical box on that wall panel we put up, as well as a USB outlet that's going to go next to it. Yeah, PUSB, that's it. And I'm thinking about putting it right here next to this, maybe by about 3 inches. Let's go down to the utility bay and see what that's like. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. Bedroom USB, so I've got to hook that up there, and it's not long enough, so I'm going to need some jumpers. But I think, yeah, I won't need much. Just a couple of cables to hook that up there. That shouldn't be too bad. So let's say we do it here. There's 3 inches, and then we can center that right there. I think that'll work. Let's see, I gotta pull this up there. All right. So far, so good. Hey guys, Future Patrick here. I was editing this video this morning, and I realized that the installation of that outlet and the USB port, it was a little bit messed up because I didn't know what I was doing. Most of the time I don't. But what I'm going to do today is I'm installing another one on the other side. I mean, learn from my mistakes, and I will point them out when I'm doing it the right way. So let's do that. Oh, how'd that get here?
It's Canadian Flag Day. Was that yesterday?
No, it's today.
It's today.
National Flag Day in Canada. The AC receptacle is going here, and this is where the DC outlet or receptacle is going. Now, I learned from the last time, one of the mistakes I made was I wired up the AC receptacle first, and then I had to pull it all apart in order to do this, and I'll show you why. This goes around the back of the barrel like this, but it must go on the cable first because of the connections here. So what I need to do is get this wired up, and I have to do that from inside because this has to be screwed on from inside. So I had to pull this apart in order to get my hands in to do that. It comes with some jumper cables already. I don't think we need this 10 amp fuse because we already have this on a 10 amp fuse down below. But it's the 10 amp fuse for all of the USB outlets. You know, it doesn't hurt anything to save it, to have it in there. So I'm just gonna leave it. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna cut off these terminals. I'm gonna use some Wigos. Get you off and you up. Oh, nope, that didn't work. There we go. This doesn't have to be long, but I have to be able to work with it. So we'll just, this is the problem with leaving too much because you're worried about not having enough. When you're new, it's better to have waste than not having enough. 2 conductor Wagos because that's all we need. We're just putting these 2 together. Generally start with the black. I've gotten into the habit of checking the back of the Wagos to make sure that the conductor is all the way to the end. Actually, it all has to go back in there because I've got to. Because now we have to put this on here. These actually are marked at the back, positive and negative, so we got to make sure we get the right ones. Got it threaded, and we've got to thread it on. Now, I'm doing it from the inside because we want to make sure that this label is properly oriented. Might want to go get a cup of coffee while I do this because this will take a while. I'm going to test it. And to do that, turn on the DC. I can do that from my phone. I love that. And there we go. Huzzah! Lights on. It all works.
Yay! That's mine.
Now this one runs off the same Blue Eddy, but I have the circuit breaker turned off, so it's not live. I'm pretty sure. So now that this is done, I am free to do this. I got to make sure that there is enough room for the box to go in between the insulation because it's kind of tight in there, so I have to kind of make sure that I can squeeze it in while not compromising the insulation too much. I love these old work boxes because of this little flap here. It makes it so easy to install. You get the hole, you plug it in, and you just start tightening this little thing, and what that does is it flips up the little flap on the other side, and once you get it tight, it holds it in. Perfect. Now in order to make a pigtail, I'm going to take one of these scrap pieces. Now, the problem is cutting it a little bit too short here means it's difficult to work with, but it means easier to put back in the box. It's a compromise. If I had forgotten to shut off the circuit breaker downstairs, I'd know about it by now. We're using receptacles that have very similar actions as the Wagos. Instead of having screws on the side where I have to do a loop and then in, I insert the wires into one of these corresponding holes, white, black, and green, and snap them shut. So let's do that. These are made for Romex solid conductors. These stranded conductors are a little bit awkward to get in, but you can do it if you just take your time. And there we go. Perfect. I turned on the circuit breaker. Let's check it out. I have a handy dandy multi-tool here. Safety point, kids. Be sure you turn your tools off when you unplug them. That's how you wire an electrical outlet when you're a noob like me.